Hello, friends, and welcome to the Global Vegan Business Expo. I am Ruchika Chitrabhanu, and today I take great pride in introducing some interesting personalities because they are young, enterprising, ambitious, passionate, but what sets them apart is that they are on a mission. Each one has a startup of their own which started from home. So let's hear it from them. We have Pardita from Break of Dawn, Anushri from Soft Spot Foods, Abhay from the founder of Good Milk, and Dilip, founder of Oneness. A very warm welcome to all of you, and thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Good to
Nice
be
for
here.
having us. Yes.
Yeah, it's so good to see you all, yeah, and to be talking to you all. So each one of you is a passionate vegan, and you saw this gap in the market, which inspired you to start your venture from home. Could you share some of the challenges you faced in product development and then bringing it to the market? Anushri, we can go with you.
Yeah, so I think, just before we started recording, Dilip was talking about it, and I really do agree with him. Sorry, Dilip, if I'm repeating your answer, but
It's okay. You just helped me shorten my.
Yeah, I think, it's two main things. It's finding the right ingredient suppliers and finding the knowledge for developing a product like this. There's not too many food technologists that might have knowledge on dairy-free cheese, not in India at least. So it's a little tough, and you do have to do a lot of that legwork on your own. I think that was one of the main challenges, and being able to taste your competitors and have some benchmark brands because they're available all over the world, but not so much here.
True, absolutely. Abhay?
Sure. I think for us, what we realized fairly early on was that the FMCG business is three components, right? It's what products you have, what brand you've built, and what distribution you have. And naturally, as someone without coming from a not business background, I didn't know all this. And we had to realize fairly early on that manufacturing a product at home just isn't enough if you're not going to get a distribution right. And later on, I understood that brand was important. So I think that journey in sort of learning how to integrate these three elements and figuring out at what stage what is the most important was a bit of a challenge. I think definitely distribution was the biggest challenge we had at the time. There was no Dunzo, Swiggy wasn't doing deliveries from door to door, and as such there were no hyperlocal on-demand delivery services that were available to small companies. So we had to do it by ourselves, and even the manufacturing side. And I think that journey of moving from doing the distribution on my bike to doing it through other people, doing the manufacturing from my mom's kitchen to a factory. I think those were some of the larger challenges that we dealt with. Of course, today we're dealing with the idea of how do we build a brand that is global and lasting. But I'm sure there are other challenges will come up in the same three domains moving forward as well.
Yeah, and what is very interesting about your story is that you started as an activist.
That's right. And, I've sold out to capitalism since.
Exactly, and it was just one question that made you like start this, right?
That
when someone came and told you that, how do you expect people to be vegan when vegan food is expensive?
Right, that is absolutely right. And yeah, there was no I like winning arguments, and that wasn't an argument I could win. So
Absolutely.
I got back home and then spoke to my parents about this. They're also vegan. I mean, they turned vegan before I did, and they inspired my sister and I to be vegan. And that journey helped us realize that this is what we wanted to do and go in this direction.
Right. Very interesting. I was so inspired reading that.
Very kind of you.
I'm sure, that's so much hope for so many youngsters, right? Because it gives you that hope that you don't really have to go study business to start or something that you're passionate about. You'll find your way.
Absolutely. It's just about solving the problem that you find most compelling. The answers will be.
Yeah. Dilip, what about you?
Well, for us, the most challenging thing was like we were discussing, the challenge for me was to find to make a very clean product. Okay. And the other thing was that, this whole thought actually, it's a small story. If everybody has time, I'll just express it. It just started 2.5 years back that I was given an opportunity to start venture into dairy business.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So actually we do everything in the northeastern states. We do our cultivation and all for other businesses. So that's where they asked us to start dairy business. And that's when I got close to dairy business and realized, how cruel and how not healthy and unfit it is. But we did a lot of legwork for 6 months to how to implement, how to go about and everything. And then one fine day we abandoned it after just realizing that this is not the right ethical business we must get into. But that was the expensive learning. People go
Wow.
on people go
But
on
it was
Google.
first-hand learning. It was not just watching a video and not just
Yes,
reading. You
yes,
actually
yes.
witnessed it.
True.
So, I mean, your
So
conviction is like really
yeah.
strong on that.
So because the whole idea started as a commercial idea. I mean, it kept on being a commercial idea along with the ethical thoughts that were getting entrenched. So then we started. First thought was that we must turn vegan uh, from dairy point of view. It was mostly a dairy perspective for us. So when we started to turn vegan, we realized that we have to go through a lot of compromises,
Mm-hmm.
sacrifices. Okay, because you have to start accepting the changes, accepting the low quality products, not tasting the right way, not behaving the right way to become a part of your life. See, in the West, milk has been used as a beverage.
Yeah,
They don't mind you put anything in the milk and start selling as long as it tastes good. But in India, milk is milk. Milk is a substitute which is used in the families from heritages
right.
to make certain things. And if that milk is not right, or if those dairy products are not right, the substitutes, they will reject it. They will
Right.
reject it. However, they are ethical, however, they are, non-cruel, they will have empathy, but they will not change it. Okay.
Absolutely.
So we tried these almond milks, we tried everything, and then we said that no, I cannot turn vegan or I cannot change dairy with just seeing the cows being suffering. Okay, I might need something which is an easy transition because I'll be very sad if I have to every day sacrifice my tea or my paneer or my anything.
And that's a reality, right? A
That's
lot
a
of people
reality.
just
That's
cannot do
absolutely
it. So
in
we have
India.
to face that.
In India, it is a reality. In
Yeah.
India, it is very difficult because Indian dairy is driven by taste profile. It's driven by not similarity, but not an alternative, but a similar product, same product. Okay, so that's the challenge that we took as at home. I told my wife Kajal, she is very actively involved in this whole thing. I said,
Yes.
make me a milk which I probably will not figure out. Don't put essences, don't put chocolate, just try and make me. And then suddenly one day after a few, weeks rather, she gave me something and I had, and I said, yes, this is very close. This is very close. And then I realized that, this can change so many people's lives who are every day anticipating to be vegan, but they're not being vegan because they are so attached to their tastes. Like my parents.
Absolutely.
My parents, they every day would hear stories. My father knew all these things. And I would tell him that you knew you're still having. They said, what to do, beta? This is how everything works. This is how the world
Yeah.
moves.
And there's also
So,
tradition.
yes, yes. So we got into a small commercial idea. But now we are talking about the challenges. The challenge is that, like we discussed, there are no clean ingredients available. Okay. If clean ingredients are available, you have to go by their word. So for that, what we had to do is we had to get more knowledge. You know.
Right.
So I have this inherent, innate quality of having food technology information because we are into
Mm-hmm.
this novel food since 15 years. So there was a lot of self-study, a lot of doing internal homework. Then when we find the right ingredients, they are not available. Challenges to bring and import them. Challenges to bring 500 kilos when you're just using half a gram. So these are the kind of challenges we had to, go through. Only we know, probably this
Right.
fraternity know that
Yes.
this is a very good product, non-cruel product, ethical product, special product, novel product. But the markets don't know. I think even what Rangan was saying the other time, that when you go into distribution, people don't treat you as special. They want their
Yeah.
margins, they want their shelf life, they want their everything to be intact, just like a other commercial product, you know.
Right.
So that you don't get any special treatment. You are just treated as some common product. They will say, okay, yes, I can pat your back that you did a good thing, but what about my profits? What about, you know, everybody talks commercial when it comes to, you know, understanding. They would be they will be happy that you are, you know, ethical, but then they say, okay, that's your choice. But then how do we penetrate the markets which are flooded with these consumer commercial products with just an idea or your ethical idea that no, my product is very special, you know.
Yes.
So there is no infrastructure to put in these kind of special products. Then it somewhere forces you to go back to commercializing it, because a lot of people say it's very expensive, you know, they find my products expensive. But then I say that, you know, they're expensive for a reason. I'm shedding out so much of profitability or margins to my commercial partners, my packaging, my keeping things very standardized, special products, everything. But then now people are very happy spending the money because they know they're getting the worth of it, you know.
Yes.
So that's my small story. Yeah.
No, that's inspiring. Paridita, you take out almond milk that's fresh. What are the challenges you face?
The biggest challenge obviously was that the idea didn't begin just to make almond milk. The idea was that the almond milk needs to be at somebody's doorstep
Right.
at breakfast. Because when I turned vegan, that is what, I faced the challenge that when I woke up in the morning and I used to be an avid milk drinker. So I'm thinking when I wake up in the morning and if I have to go struggling to look for stuff and which is not there and which is doesn't taste good, it makes no difference if it's made and it's not delivered to me. So, the challenge was not only making fresh almond milk, which meant that I was up all night, which is because I'm making it and I'm delivering it right away. Because there is no shelf life, there is no preservatives, there are no stabilizers, there's nothing, right? So I'm like, the blenders are on from like 1 to 4, then there is chilling, then the boys come to take it, So obviously there was night was day, day was day. I don't know. There was no sleep. There is still no sleep. So that was one, the timing of it. And of course, the distribution is not easy when you begin, right? When you start, when I started out, it was more like I wanted to do it for myself. There was no thought. There was no thought that I'm going to go and go distribute or, supply almond milk to the entire city. That was not the idea. It was that I didn't like what was in the market. As everybody knows, I felt it wasn't like milk. It wasn't the greatest alternative. It was thin, it was like water, and I was like, if I have to switch, I may slip, I may slip back to dairy, and I didn't want to do that. So the point was to make something which one was consistent like milk. You have to, when you drink it, it needs to feel like milk. And then so basically it was made for me. It was made for my brother. And after, making a few batches, and I have a lot of chef friends, and they were like, this doesn't exist in the market. Freshly made milk didn't exist when I started 3 years ago. There was nothing like make and deliver, like how we get milk at home in the morning. There was no almond milk coming to you in the morning, which is freshly made. So after a lot of coaxing, because I had to be coaxed that you can try and do this, but because I loved it so much, I started off with 2 bottles, and then delivering 2 bottles, you're not going to have nobody come and deliver those 2 bottles for you. So it was my husband is delivering bottles, I'm delivering bottles, wherever. And the other thing that I had decided was that there was no limit. Like, it can't be, I'm going to deliver only in Chembur because I live here. It had to be across the city. So I started with the thing that even if it takes me like crazy amount of heartache or no sleep or, I wanted to deliver everywhere. I didn't want it to be restricted from the beginning. I wanted to just be the city. So I would go to Powai at like some 6 in the morning. Then we'd go to South Bombay at like some 7 in the morning and deliver like 2 bottles, 3 bottles, So obviously the challenge was the time. It takes a toll on your day-to-day life. And of course, then how to get the milk which is fresh to stay good for 2 days, right? So to keep it really cold. So we'd wake up at odd hours, make sure it's in the freezer, then cool it, then put it in chiller bags, then deliver it cold. So it gets to the client cold. Then make sure the client picks it up on time so it stays cold. And, so it was a nightmare, but, when someone tells you that I'm recovering from cancer, or when someone tells you that I'm a nursing mother and I want to wean my baby off milk and straight away go to almond milk, and when they actually do it, and they know that your milk does not have preservatives, it is
Yes.
absolutely fresh and completely safe for, a 10-month-old to have, or somebody who's recovering from a cancer or any kind of illness in the body, and they say that, my God, where were you all this time? Then I think it makes it worthwhile,
That's
doing
the
whatever
reward.
we're doing. Yeah, absolutely. And it has
Yeah.
just grown. Then it's just been like, there was no thought of cost. In the beginning, it was passion. I didn't look at what
Absolutely.
it cost me. I didn't look at what it cost me. It cost me time. It cost a lot of money, which I didn't look into because I just loved it so much. So
Yeah.
and that love shows. When people tell you, and when you see people talk about it now, it feels that they connected to me, and my passion for doing this and making sure that they have their almond milk at 7 a.m. at their doorstep. So I mean, there are loads more challenges, of course, which come up every day. There's packaging, there is how to make a larger amount of bottles in a home setup. I'm at home, all of that, but I think every day we tackle a new problem. And for me, I
Yeah.
believe the team that works with me, whether it's me or whether it's one or two girls at work, all of us have our inputs. So they will, it's not like it doesn't feel like it's just me. Everybody has a creative input. Okay, what can we do better? And that's how we do it on a day-to-day basis, honestly.
Yeah. And I have friends who get almond milk from you and they swear by it. I can tell that they're going to be like your customers for life.
For
They
me,
love
it's
it.
been, yeah, because it's been, I started 3 years ago, and I still have the same lot of people who are from 3 years. They're taking the milk every day. Plus, of course, the roster has increased a lot of the number of people who take the milk. But once they start on the fresh milk, right, which I send, they can't revert back to the Tetra packs. And I mean, I had to make sure that it tasted good too. It can't just be, as even Dilip said, it can't be but I'm like an ethical brand. I'm like, cruelty free
Yes.
brand. So kuch bhi matlab, it's not. They want the taste, right? Because they want to be able to feel like I'm not sacrificing my milk, my
Absolutely.
coffee, my tea, my whatever. Now I think it's enhancing it. Like a lot of people tell me, we've never had such good coffee, so it enhances their product, like what they're drinking. So it makes sense. It has to be a good product. You have to
Absolutely.
work on that. And that is what I've only been doing. I have really honestly not focused on marketing or stuff because I didn't know all of that. I made sure that my time in the kitchen was the most important. That had to be, and is still the most important thing for me, is keep making the good stuff.
Yeah. And you're awake while the world is sleeping,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
early
pretty much.
mornings.
Pretty
So,
much. Pretty
but
much.
you've managed to crack the subscription
Yes.
model, you
Yes.
know. Could you share how you did that? And could you also share some tips for other, homegrown businesses?
So, as I told you, when I started out, it was never about the cost. So what happens is, if I've got two clients who tell me, the first two clients tell me that I want to subscribe. Now, it is not easy, right, for me to deliver
Right.
for two clients, one in Powai and one in South Bombay, on a daily basis, with no real partner to deliver for me, no boys. Now, of course, today I have my whole team of boys and I have the setup to do it. But in the beginning, you don't have these things. You don't. I just know I wanted it. I knew I wanted to do it. So I think, honestly, what I did was I took on everything. I took on whatever came my way, in terms of, if two people wanted it in South Bombay and three people wanted it in the suburbs, I said okay, and we did it. We
Wow.
didn't. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, you didn't wait for
I didn't wait
more
for it to
customers.
become, I didn't wait for, okay,
Yeah.
I'll get 100 clients, then I will get into
Then,
this whole
yeah.
subscription thing. No, if you're one client also, you're going to subscribe every day, I'm going to come to you every day. And again, that was not because I never thought of it as a business, you see. I mean,
Right.
it's still not a business. It feels like a baby. It's my child, it's like I'm so like into it. So it never felt like I'm doing a business to earn money. It was always like, wow, I created something. Like, I felt so proud that I created something and it is helping people. And so for me, even if two people were helped, you know. I was okay. I was okay. And what happened is, with this approach, when people saw that and when they tasted the milk, it went viral. Like, 2 people tasted it, then 4, then within 20 days, I had 20 people already. You see, and that is 20 days from beginning. And I was petrified. I was like, oh my God, I'm not equipped for this now. Like, I don't know. I just started, So there was no thought as to how am I going to, do the subscription, and how am I going to crack it. For me, it was one client at a time. Every person is important to me. Wherever you are, if you tell me that I need you to deliver, I want to do it. I took on a lot on my plate in terms of not calculating everything. I didn't calculate everything. It was more uh, the need to reach out to anyone who asks for help, and
Right.
slowly I just saw that it just it multiplied. And within like 6 months, I've got like 100 people, then more. Now there is like 2,000 people who are there on my roster, and about or around 150 who I deliver to on a daily basis.
Wow.
So there wasn't any real plan, but I think if you go with the passion that
Yeah.
you want to reach people and you want to help, I think that helping people was the biggest thing for me. It wasn't I'm creating a business. I want whatever I do needs to serve somebody, it needs to help someone. And I think with that in mind, I went ahead and did it. And today, I mean, and you're telling me I'm successful in creating this. I really didn't know that. I don't even think like that. For me, it's like, okay, people are ordering from me, great. I don't think I've cracked anything. I just feel I'm doing what I started off like 3 years ago, honestly.
Yeah.
So I think for people who want to start, I think you need to not look at the business side straight away. You really need to, one, have your product, which has to be the star. Nothing else can be the star. Like, your product has to be it. And then don't look at the business thing right away. Look at getting it to people. Don't look at how much money are you going to make right away. I never did, honestly, but then that's my take on it.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that everyone does that, but I didn't look at it that way. For me, it was like, I remember my dad asking me, like, are you making any money? And I honestly said, I don't know, Papa, I don't know, but I love it. I love what I'm doing. I love waking up at 2 in the morning and, like, making things. I love making new flavored milks. I love creating stuff. I love what people are saying. I love what people
Yeah.
are saying,
Yeah.
how it has changed their life, like how it has changed, their day-to-day living in a healthier way, how their
Right.
illnesses are disappearing, how their kids are loving it, and they're not stressed about kids having dairy. They can switch to a non-dairy. For kids who are kind of fussy, sometimes it's difficult to crack it for kids. So when kids are
Yes.
having it, so that was my that is the way I kind of proceeded, just with the heart. I think, honestly, just followed my heart.
Yeah. And as I said, like all four of you here don't just have passion, but you're also on a mission.
Yes.
So, Dilip, you have like a line of products. You have milk, you have paneer, butter, yogurt, and Nutella. And one more thing, I think I'm missing out. Ricotta.
Yeah.
Everything that's vegan.
Yeah.
How did you develop so many products, and how are you managing so many SKUs?
See, to most of the people, our model of multiple products is not a sensible way of doing business. People from the commercial fraternity, people from the investment fraternity, they all tell me, they caution me, listen, you can't say that you're doing 10 products or 8 products and then, you're going to become an empire. But,
Right.
I am a little divergent in these thoughts, a little different from, I feel that if, like, I'm very much with Pardita, what she said, that your product has to be a star. If your product is a star, you can have 10 babies who are doing well in 10 different
Yes.
fields.
Mm.
The only hitch people have is that when you are focusing on a brand, when you are focusing on valuating a brand or creating a valuation of an industry, that's when you got to focus. You got to focus maybe on one product or two product, because that's where you have to put all the energies. For us, it was like, of course, the quality also comes with, that we have an innate knowledge of food technology.
Mm-hmm.
and it's inherent, it's innate, it's not studied, because I have this experience of 15 years in food tech, creating novel products.
Okay.
So that helped us a lot. A. B is that we have to be yourself the creator of the product. Like there is a question that, are food technologies, essential at this point? I say that beginning, no, it is you who have to create the product. And like even she said that the product is for the consumer. It is not for making money. Firstly, it is not to make brand. Secondly, all that will happen automatically if the product is accepted.
Yeah.
Ruchika, we launched in February. Okay. And
I
in
met you in
March
Delhi, I think.
Yes, that was something which was just an overnight thought, that when we abandoned dairy, okay, and we thought that we want to get into this business, when my wife just made me taste something good, okay, I said, let's go for this. Let's just go and meet people. We had nothing on the shelves to show.
I remember that.
Yeah.
I remember clearly.
We just had little lassi bottles, which we were telling people. We didn't have boards, we didn't have signboards, nothing. And we were talking to people and said that we are trying to venture into this.
Yes.
Then we came back, and 1 year we did a lot of R&D. We mastered the product. We launched in February. March was lockdown. Okay. The entire factory shut down. We are sitting at home, holding on to our lives. What to do?
My God.
Sitting ideally at home, I said, no, this cannot happen. This cannot happen, because world is moving on. You cannot just abandon everything and sit holed up in your house. We created systems. We created protocols. We created kind of attires for our workers. We coaxed these workers to come back, taking all responsibility of their lives, and we made them stay in our small factory, made them sterilize everything, and we said that we will start.
Yeah.
Okay. Then came the challenge, how do we deliver? That's again, I'm coming to the point that we did it first on our own, sitting in our own car, having a small police permission that, we are allowed to move around in the city, and we used to go and deliver. Then fortunately, things start falling in place, that we got some workers who had bikes. So we got permission for them, ID cards for them, they started. So our business actually started, flourished, and became viral during the pandemic, okay, from March. Okay. Wow. And in those limitations of everything, we were working. And we told everyone, please do not expect a good quality packaging. You also know, we used to pack anyhow and send.
Yeah.
Anyhow, like one day curd comes in a black box, second day transparent box, third day it's written, it's freshly made, but no batch number, no MRP. Anyhow.
But it never happened with me. I always got, I thought your packaging was still perfect. Never happened.
Maybe I wanted to impress you all the time. But otherwise, my products have gone anyhow to everybody. Yeah. And the acceptance, talking to them every day over WhatsApp, taking their cues. You have been so importantly participating in fine-tuning my products, Ruchika. I must give her the credit also.
Thank you.
So listening to them, making the product for them, firstly, it's very important.
Yes.
And that's what we worked on. And foodie, we have, I'm not just trying to express this, but just because it's a way of saying, we must have wasted probably 500 to 1,000 kilos of dry fruits dumped in the drainage, because eventually the batch would not taste the same, or the fight was to be similar. We got a similar tasting milk, but then when we boil, it is separating. I said, no, I don't even want to write that shake the bottle, or it should be milk. It should be milk. The bottle is just moved, and this bottle comes in, and it should do everything what milk does. Like the same way was paneer. But then, we never thought at that time that will this help us to have so many products? We were passionately making. At the same time, that thought was getting a whole commercial brain to work, that how this is. And I feel that this is a very small domain of business. Okay. I understand everybody is very passionate who are over here. But, for me, what I thought, it is my own thought. I said that to sustain with very limited resources, very limited awareness, very limited, it is, I must have more things to offer.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I just have, say, yogurt was the first thought. We were just going for yogurt, and then we named Vigurt and whatever. Milk was also not in the, milk was just to consume commercially, because I knew that there are many milks available. Okay.
Right.
So yogurt was something which we wanted to crack and get into. But then I thought that, okay, somebody will buy a yogurt today. Okay. Then I have to wait, because then probably, after 3 days, after 4 days, a bigger pack, 2 packs, I said, I don't have that much time. But if I have 5 products or if I have 7 products, my individual billing, even at store, if somebody goes and buys my product, which is available now, or to us when we deliver, it is an average of 750 rupees today, because it is like a one-stop shop where they
Right.
get paneers, they get their butters, they get their ricotta cheese, they get their yogurt, they get their milk. They may not buy everything in one shot, but today if they buy milk and yogurt, tomorrow or probably day after tomorrow, they come and buy paneer. So, client base is repetitive, but orders are multiplying. So that is helping me in a way. And of course, I know that this is going to be a mainstream business in the next 5 years, but it should not be looked at as a mainstream business from today. It has
Right.
to be looked at as an incubating business, infant business, wherein you must have many things. I feel I'm not even educating people or startups to
Yeah.
do what I'm doing. I'm telling you my journey. That
Right.
I felt that if because the gap is everywhere. I mean, gap
Yes.
is in paneer, gap is in butter, gap is in this. So
True.
if I'm able to do 5 things, not just one, I should do it. So now when I'm sitting with 5 successful products, I have the time to analyze which is doing more, why, which is
Yes.
less, why. Because some people will say that paneer is not doing good, but then why? Because people don't eat paneer every day. Okay.
Yes.
Butter is not doing good because butter comes only once in 15 days in the house. Okay. But milk is doing very good. Yeah. But then I have time and space to analyze all these aspects and then know who's my hero, who's my superhero, who's my sidekick, who has to come later. And probably when I go on a larger platform, like today, we have realized certain things that, low shelf life products, we must not push, however good they are, we must not push commercially into stores. So
Mm.
we have not withdrawn, but we have slowed down on milk and our cheese
Mm-hmm.
to mass distribute in stores.
Right.
So these will be available only in special stores like Nature's Basket and with us, because other places people are not pushing it. They are not aware that they are available.
Right.
We don't have high fund budgets of it, advertising and things like that.
Mm.
So my way of thinking is very different. That if I'm able to pull off with 5 products, and maybe there are 3 or 4 more in the pipeline which have been formulated, and if I can do it, I should do it, because the market has the void. Each one is
Yes.
not going to fight for its space. If I milk
Absolutely.
somewhere, yogurt can just be next to it, saying plant-based. Okay, they have an array of products which is catering to the entire need of a family.
Yes.
That's my thought.
And there is absolutely, there is still, there's so much gap, even though there is so many brands doing it, there's still gap, right?
Yes.
Because our
Yes.
country is so large.
Very, very.
So, and I guess the model has worked for you.
It has. I am
So,
proud of it, and I
yeah.
am proud that people could not change my mind. And I'm not trying to demean them, and I'm saying that they are on a different plane of thoughts. I'm from a different plane of thoughts. Maybe I
Yeah.
think differently, but it has worked for me. It is working well for me.
Yes, absolutely. So, Abhay, you started with the mission that you want to make plant-based milk affordable, and you absolutely cracked that. Like, I checked, your price is 120 rupees a liter. Abhay, are you there?
I'm here. I'm listening.
Because
Yeah.
I can't see you on the screen, so I was wondering if. So yeah, and then I went and checked, the soy fit that I have at home, that's like 130 bucks a liter. So you've actually cracked that and made it the most affordable plant-based milk. And it's available pan India. But you started off with one product at a time. What was the what were what was the pros and cons for you starting with just one product at a time, and then later you started with yogurt and mayo? Did you also start chocolate lately?
Chocolate milk. So we don't do chocolates as a
Okay,
business.
chocolate
Yeah.
milk. Okay.
Great question, Ruchika. Thank you. We also actually started with a bunch of products, right? So at one point, I think before we launched commercially, that was, working with a facility, we had ice creams, we had, I think 2 or 3 types of plant-based milk. We had 2 or 3 types of plant-based yogurts and things like that. The idea was to, I think, figure out which ones were closest to where we wanted to get to. Of course, a lot of our thesis also changed, right? I mean, today, yes, our plant-based milk may be at $120, but we're not trying to be the cheapest product on the market. It so happens that we have the economies of scale that that our suppliers are able to supply to us at a price because we order in, say, tens of tons from them at this point, right? So, and even moving forward, I think what I'm not personally happy about our pricing is that it's not yet at the price of 80 or 90. And I think ultimately the goal is to not create a cheap plant-based milk. The goal is to create a profitable product that removes the friction for people to transition from dairy to plant-based dairy. But to that end, our thesis has changed from just wanting to be affordable to also being very functional. Having products that that behave like dairy in a bunch of applications and so on. And this is not just domestically, but also commercially, where we have a few baristas that work with us and use our products in maybe 100 kitchens around the country to create plant-based milk. So that was our thesis has become very functional and focus more on creating products that in every setting behave like dairy. But the affordability side is more of a let's figure the product out first and then figure out how to make it as affordable as possible. I think our decision to go one product at a time was very commercial in the sense that if you want to launch 10 products in a big way in all your retail stores, it's 40-50 lakhs of an expense to be able to launch all of them at once. The idea is to figure out when we were doing many products, we figured out which ones were doing better and then just invest a little more in the R&D side, invest more on the manufacturing side, got them to the market, and through the strength of that distribution, we were able to launch other products in the same channels and platforms. So I think today for us, the answer is a very revenue-driven combination of, have we achieved these revenue numbers that can support the launch of another product in another channel? Is our R&D be able to support that? I think today, one challenge we're facing is that we are unable to support smaller quantities of products, right? Like if we make 500 kgs of mayo, it doesn't make sense because the sales cycle is very short. So we want to be able to service these products at a large enough supply where we don't run out of stock all the time. And this is a challenge we still deal with quite often, is that some of the batch sizes aren't big enough to be able to service demand, and being out of stock is a very bad experience, right? You come to the website, you want to order things, and if you see your favorite thing is not available, you will churn. So today it's about getting that supply chain right, and therefore it becomes more important to be deliberate about what products we're launching. But yeah, I mean, when we started out, we were pretty, we were very, very experimental. We tried everything, and we got a lot of feedback. So that's sort of that journey at this time.
Yeah, and that supply chain that you mentioned is so important, because I know of brands which started off really well, but suffered because of the supply chain. And
that's right. And we were the same way, right? We were very young, very hungry, very ambitious. We were like, I would call us the king of small numbers back then, right? If we sold 100 rupees of some product, I'd be like, damn, we did it. But today, I think there's this maturity that we understand that our product has strengths and weaknesses, like every other product has. No product on the planet is perfect. And it takes a lot of brutal honesty to be honest to yourself on where you stand when you really compare against dairy. I think when we started, we were like, damn, our product is exactly like milk, it's 10 on 10. And to be honest, it's not. And there are probably no other plant-based milk in the planet that comes 10, if milk was the benchmark, I don't think any plant-based milk is there if you're using the same parameters, right? So, it has taken a bit of honesty to be honest with ourselves and say, here, maybe your product is a 6 or a 7. How can you, the 3 is a big gap too, right? I mean, there's a world of difference between a 9 and a 10 in terms of sensory. So that sort of is the awareness and awareness we operate with today.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought this up about, about the honesty part, where, keeping the dairy as a benchmark and trying to go as close as possible to that. I think that's a psyche, not just you guys or people who are making dairy alternatives need to remove, but also a consumer needs to come out of that psyche, right? Because you can't compare an apple to an orange. Like you're not going to have an orange and say, oh, it doesn't taste like an apple, right? You're having a plant-based alternatives. It cannot taste like a dairy, right? So I think that's a psyche that even a consumer needs to remove. Like every time I'm speaking to some friends and they're like, what, we tried this alternative, but it doesn't taste like that. I'm like, of course it's not going to taste like that, right? It's not derived from that source. The source is different. There is going to be some difference.
True. What I'm torn between is sort of trying to impose my version of this and say, we don't want to create a plant-based milk that tastes like milk. But I think where the compromise has to be is that we have to sometimes meet the consumers where they are. And that is sort of also in some way a radical acceptance of the world as it is.
Yeah.
And saying that consumers want something like milk and they would probably switch if it tasted as close to milk as possible. So whatever our own personal sort of, because we all have biases and prejudices that come with with the product development journey. I think the balance we want to strike is as close as possible, which is still a good thing because we want to essentially, we're in the business of removing friction. I think everybody here has definitely thought of that friction thing very seriously.
Yes.
And that's why subscription models work, because dairy is a subscription business. It's the largest subscription business in the country. Tens of billions of dollars go into the dairy industry as a subscription business. So it's important to craft that UX around the entire dairy experience, not only from a product side, but from a packaging side, from a distribution side, from an experience with subscription side. I mean, there's a lot of layers to that, and I'm glad to sort of see that everybody here has thought about that very deliberately and deeply.
Yes.
I have a point. Moreover, see, I'll tell you one thing. We have a fight, or we have a struggle of replacing milk. It's like you said that we are comparing orange with mango. But then you know what? If you want to replace mango with an orange, the orange has to taste like mango. Okay. Now you cannot say that, get adapted to the taste of orange and forget mango. So this is the dilemma that we are going through. And that is why the struggle is to become as close as dairy as possible. This is the second struggle in my life, because first was with stevia. That is a sweetener that we were. So when we got into this sweetener, it's the same story. Hey, it doesn't taste like sugar. It doesn't taste like sugar. Today, there is a lot of acceptance after 10 years that, people know, and they come and tell me that, okay, this is stevia. It has to taste, it's not necessary to taste like sugar.
Yes.
But at the beginning of the journey, everyone wanted to, very harshly, compare it with sugar. It's the same story. That's where we are also transiting. This whole industry is that right now we are fighting against dairy. Therefore, we need to have it as close as dairy possible.
Yes.
Sooner or later, or gradually.
The awareness is there.
Yes. Once the awareness is there, people will start accepting this also as beverages, which are flavored differently, tasting, and whatever it is.
Yeah. Anushree, you spent 15 months formulating your cheese from home. Is that right?
Yeah, 18.
Oh, wow. 18 months. Okay. And then you started out with a commercial scale factory. You didn't just start it out from home. So what was the future that you were seeing for these plant-based cheese that time?
Yeah. So 18 months is enough time, I think, to understand how people are accepting the product, to get some kind of product validation. While I was doing the trials from home, apart from, my own family, friends, people we knew that were trying to cut out dairy. So I would send them samples, and you kind of get an idea of what people think of the product. I also knew it needed to be a shelf-stable product. Yes. I wanted it to have a shelf life of several months. And for that reason, we couldn't manufacture from home because we couldn't isolate where we were producing it. We didn't want any microbes, any dust particles, or anything, cross-contamination from other foods to get into this product and, cause mold or cause it to go rancid while it's on the shelves.
Yeah.
So the 18 months leading up to that was enough time to take part in some shows like the Ahimsa Festival, I think December 2018. And then we took part, which was the full vegan community. And we had a chance to really take the product to them and see their response, see what their pain points were, what was the acceptance. And, I was really happy speaking to customers directly, seeing what they felt. And about a month later, we took part in the Tapped Beer Festival, and that's a totally different audience. There's like a gentleman drinking beer and eating fried chicken, but he's saying, oh, but I don't eat dairy. So people, it also made me realize it's not just vegans. There are so many people who are cutting out dairy, even though they might not eat. Food is a personal thing. So we don't know how they'll decide to make that shift. And it was enough validation to say, okay, we need to invest in a unit to manufacture this product. And we also wanted our customers to know how serious we are about making it available even further away from Bombay to people in other places, in other cities. And for that reason, we needed the shelf life as well.
Yeah, but it's a very, very tricky product. Like cheese is something that's so tricky to get the consistency right.
Yeah.
How did you crack that, to be able to grate? And your cheese grates so well, just like a normal cheese cube.
Yeah.
And it melts beautifully. Like, when I make pizzas with soft spot cheese and I serve it to somebody, they cannot tell whether it's, a normal cheese or vegan cheese. And it tastes also fabulous. So how did you get that, consistency right?
Yeah, I think that's why it took 18 months. To start off, I did taste products from every continent, from America, Australia, the UK, see what cheeses they have, tasted some of the Indian cheese products as well, and then started to understand why some of them work, why some of them don't.
Yeah.
And I think I come from a background of food. I worked as a chef for a while in the fine dining space, and before that, as a product designer. So I think these two areas really culminated and helped me figure it out on my own for a while before, consulting a food technologist or consulting a shelf life expert or someone. So I think it was I was fortunate enough to have the time to do it, and of course the dedication to the vegan way of life, to stick to it and say, no, I think I'd really like to have this cheese alternative for people in India, because it's such a tough thing to give up, as I'm sure the other panelists do with their products. And I think, time was really what helped.
Yeah. So in fact, my next question is regarding the food technologist. At what stage would all of you recommend that small businesses involve food technologists? So, Abhay, you can start.
Sure. I think our food technology sort of foray and getting Spurti on board has been a fantastic way to convert our products into reality, right? I think we did make at home and sell it, but there were very real logistical challenges. Even from a food safety side, I don't have a food background either, so it's all naive people doing it. And at some level, you realize that there is a plateau to your intuition and wisdom there, and that you need an expert. And to that end, our food technologist, head of R&D, Spurti Ravi, she's been a fantastic resource for us. So she joined us at the time we were commercializing our products to the factory level. So I mean, her input, her experience, her wisdom was we couldn't have had a product without her. So I would say that, and of course she's a hardcore vegan, so it really helps that she has her own vision for what the product should be. I think at some level, what the product I wanted was probably not the product that would have worked. And so you need experts to come in and really tell you what the science says, and use their experience and wisdom to guide you through that journey. So we've been fairly lucky with that. I think around the time of commercialization, and when I say commercialization, I don't mean selling, I mean sort of moving to a factory where you're going to deal with.
Do you mean scale?
Scale.
To some level scale, because I think there's a limit before which after which you can't manufacture at home. You'd have to be doing it 24/7. I mean, there's also regulatory stuff, right? Like you need an FSSA certified facility,
Right.
and you can get a registration, but if you're doing about 12 lakhs per annum, you definitely need a factory to work with, or you need a state license and so on. So the one way is to build out that facility deliberately, and at which point you still need expertise. But I think you're very right in that a certain number of scale sort of dictates when you move from your home to a factory. But when you go into that factory, everything changes. The second you move to a factory, the taste of your product, the texture of your product, the shelf life, the mouth feel, everything changes. And you need someone who has dealt with this in a very systemic way to sort of help you navigate these challenges. And for sure, I mean, right now, Good Milk isn't me, right? It's the management team that has really brought in their expertise. I often say that I am the least smart person in the room, and I just stay out of the way of our experts. And so, yes, very, very important. I think at the right stage, they will make a world of difference.
Yes, absolutely. So Dilip, you said you did not get a food technologist because you yourself have an experience in that. So are you on mute? I can't hear you.
No.
Okay. So yeah, now I can hear you.
Yeah.
So do you think you would maybe in the near future introduce a food technologist, or you wouldn't have the need?
See, I am now consulting with 2 food technologists for fine tuning where we are falling back in the product. But any individual who would answer this question would do it from their own personal experiences or personal thoughts. So to me, my prime focus firstly was the taste. I said that if I want to change, I need to change the product, not the taste. So that is how, and then expressing that to a technologist at that point and making a third person make it for you to your palate, it was a very difficult kind of a communication that I was facing. I did try to use a few friendly food technologists whom I know, but everybody has to be on the same plane, and we were not. Some people would talk about more technicalities, some people would talk about. So I said that this time is now. I must invest all my knowledge or gain more knowledge along.
Right.
It's easier for you to, if you have a little bit of knowledge, then to add on more knowledge is a little more easier. So that way it helped me focus on what my core focus was for the product. I never wanted to create a brand. I never wanted to go commercial first. I wanted to first go try make a milk or paneer that anybody will not feel the difference. Yes. So once I had made that, and then I knew that now I have made it, now I need to fine tune it.
Right.
Now what is the packaging needed? What kind of, vacuum packaging I need? What kind of sterilization I need? My milk is still not stable, I must say, in front of everybody. It is still, sometimes it behaves wonky in 30 days. Sometimes it withstands 45 days, which we claim 45 days. But these are the small things for which I need, I have started consulting.
Right.
So it's a very open-ended question in the sense that when do you need a technologist?
Yes.
If you have an idea, if you just have an idea that you want to crack it, then you need technologists from day one. But if you want that you have expertise to create a product till one level,
right,
wherein people's thoughts will confuse you, rather, will not align with you, then you must go ahead and make it to that level. Not necessarily a commercial product, but a product which has the profiles that you want it to have. And then over that you can take whatever extra expertise that you need for commercializing it or for whatever else that you require.
Yeah.
You need, of course, and all, like Rangan said, that there are a lot of parameters when you go for commercial, because when you scale from a home grinder to a 100-liter batch, the entire specifics change. So of course, we did it ourselves to that level. But then when it is scaling up, when we need licenses, when we need protocols to follow, standards, regulations, that time you need the expertise.
Right. So Anushri, with you did for 18 months yourself. And then at what stage did you introduce a food specialist? I mean, a food technologist?
Yeah, so we still don't have a food technologist. We had, during the 18 months, I did run it by a friend of mine who's a food technologist in like the soups and canned goods space, but I was still able to work out a few kinks that I was not able to figure out myself. And after that, I think the product reached a point where we're really happy with it. We are, of course, always going to work on, improving the product, making it more like dairy. But we are very happy with it. And the focus right now is on just scaling up and making it to more people. And after that, I think we will get a food technologist to start doing, quick prototypes of new products we want to launch. And that's all because I may not have the time to do it myself. And I don't want to slow down that process just because I'm busy with other tasks in the business.
Right, right.
I think we would eventually get one.
So your product is even ready to go pan-India without involving a food technologist?
Yeah. Because I think we've had a lot of time to speak to people, speak to ingredient suppliers, to read, different rheological studies myself and kind of understand the product. So many people over here have mentioned it's really personal, and it's, I want to know every single thing that's going on with it. I want to know why each ingredient behaves a certain way on a molecular level. And then from there, if I have that knowledge, I'd be comfortable giving the reins to someone else.
Right. Now the other challenge, I think, which the plant-based dairy alternative industry is facing is the new rule that's coming out by FSSAI, saying that the term milk cannot be used by plant-based milk, even phonetically. Do you all see this as a positive or a negative impact in the long run?
Can I take that?
Yes.
Absolute negative. I mean, the precedent is that if they make this happen, then what's to prevent them from asking plant-based meat companies to stop calling it meat, right?
Yes.
In fact, there's a pertinent question in the light of what the EU did just yesterday. I think the way it went was that they wanted to prevent plant-based companies from calling their burgers veggie burgers and so on. And I think as it stood, most of the people voted against that, but there was a little bit more of a backlash against plant-based dairy. So the world at large is grappling with this issue. I think India is particularly interesting because we've had a history with plant-based milk. Coconut milk has been there for generations. I think in Kannada they say gasa gase halu, which is poppy seed milk. I mean, and I'm sure there's local language versions of. I think Tengai Pal is coconut milk in Tamil. And I don't know as many languages. So I'm sure in every corner of India, there has been some experience and centuries of experience with plant-based milk. And nobody at any point got confused with coconut milk saying, oh, they must have added desiccated coconut powder to cow's milk, right? And while I think the regulator has the job of of protecting consumers from being misled, I think calling plant-based milks as something else other than milks would only serve to mislead consumers, and is not done in the interest of enabling India to be a global plant-based manufacturing hub. We have so much of so much strength in our agri supply chains. Today, we have a lot of co-man expertise. We have a lot of direct access to raw materials and at scale. And a lot of the native Indian ingredients are now being used in global plant-based companies. For example, Just Egg uses mung beans, which is such a popular ingredient here.
Absolutely.
And India's position, India's strength is that we can be the global manufacturing hub of plant-based dairy. And I think the regulator needs to understand that this is a direction in which the world is headed, and they must encourage it in the interest of making India more self-reliant. Today, as we are talking about manufacturing locally, backing India-based products and companies, I think this idea is not necessarily new to the country, nor is it something that puts our country at a disadvantage, and we must encourage it on all fronts. So absolutely opposed to what, thankfully it's not the law yet, so hopefully they'll see sense.
The dairy industry is trying hard. And interestingly, even the definition includes coconut milk. So it just doesn't say, of course it says milk from cows, but it also does say milk from coconuts. So it does include coconut milk. So from definition point of view, that was the first thing I checked, when I heard about this. So yeah, you're right. And as you said, in many cultures, these have already been there.
Right.
They've already been there. But what about you guys? What do you think, Anushri?
Yeah, I think it's interesting to first look at the reason why they're starting to regulate it. Was it because, someone was naming margarine butter and such? I'm not sure, but I have heard that that was one of the sparks that caused all of this to kind of start. It's happened all over the world. Oatly got sued in Sweden. Miyoko won a case where they were telling her not to call her butter. Um, just as I mentioned, the vegan butcher was calling it Schnitzelgate because they weren't allowing them to use the word meat. So I think it's happening everywhere. So knowing that, we have to kind of let it pass, do everything we can to show them the benefits of, not doing that, to show them that this is a new industry that's only going to grow. And then I feel that even if they do pass something like that they would very soon have to revert back once they see what's going on in global markets and once they realize the potential Indian manufacturers have to even export products into markets that don't have that law.
Yeah. The dairy industry is, I mean, definitely feeling threatened by all the plant-based alternative for sure. And so, and there's the whole dairy alternative industry is growing at a very, very fast pace. Like if you have to look at the numbers and all, it's growing so fast. So many dairies have closed down in the US. They're switching to plant-based milk. Even dairies themselves have started making some plant-based milk. What is the growth you're seeing in the next 5 years? And what is the key reason for this disruption in the dairy industry? Dilip, would you want to go for that?
See, everybody agrees that growth is going to be tremendous, and especially with, all the current situations which make people aware of plant ingredients, plant-based foods, which are the ones which are causing this sort of participating in pandemics and health issues. Growth is going to be tremendous, but at the same time, it is not something where you can sit back and be happy about, because there are going to be exact n number of people or companies or corporates coming into it, because in this situation for the next 5 or 10 years, I feel this is the industry which is going to show growth to everybody, even on papers or even physically. So there are going to be huge number of participants coming in, into the foray, and that is going to be a challenge for, say small players, or is going to be a challenge for, people who are, not very, very up to the mark, or not keeping quality standards, taste profiles, things, as the benchmark or whatever. But in India, I feel that this non-dairy industry or plant-based industry is going to drive around the center point of taste profile. We will still not have people having vanilla milk as much as vanilla flavored milk which people have in the West, despite we being hundreds of times more populated or things like that. We will still not have the channels, the businesses of flavored milks or things to be as much as the mainstream, just similar dairy products. So it is going to be a big market, but then there are challenges of a lot of players coming in, and one has to be very uptight about themselves, not taken for granted that I am in a very novel product domain, so I have an assured growth for myself or whatever. So I think it is challenging. It is, you have to be very alert about it and focused on your core. What is your product defining to the mass? It's very important.
But Dita, you choose to be artisanal, right? You don't plan to scale or go even pan India.
I don't think I mean, everybody would love to go pan India. Everyone wants to be everywhere. I didn't start out like that. And obviously, my product is such that it doesn't allow me to do that. The milk is definitely not shelf stable. And I am okay with it. I have been told, because of the way the milk tastes and everything, I have been approached by a lot of people saying, why don't you change this and change that? And, you can be everywhere. And I I was like, I don't want to be everywhere just yet. I mean, it is my personal journey.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that, because see, that the need of the hour is this. As see, the explosion of the plant-based alternatives, the explosion of people being aware. See, it's mindful eating. Okay, it's not only about it's trying to reverse your diseases. It's trying to stay healthy by what you put into your body. It is not just about taste all the time, it's also what you put in. So of course the growth is going to be great, because there is compassion for animals, there's compassion for the world. Our planet may just become extinct because of what we're doing to it. So there's so many factors why this industry is moving the way it is. But for me, I think I have found something, and I'm taking small steps. Obviously, there are certain things that I may kind of expand because they can stay on a shelf, but certain things just don't. And I really love the product too much for me to tamper with it just because I it has to go from a Bombay to Bangalore. Maybe I won't do that. Maybe I'll just open another kitchen somewhere. I don't know. I haven't really thought so much about that. I'm so busy trying to just do the everyday work. Okay, every day be in the kitchen and make that milk, and it gets out there every day. Because for me, again, it's not like dessert. It's not like something that is occasional. It's an everyday thing. The milk goes every single day. There is no break at all. So that also takes away my time from sitting sometimes and taking a step back and saying, what should I do next? Because I'm like so busy in the kitchen, and I have been a kind of a one-man army. If you go to see, from the making to the packing to the talking to the face of the brand to the, I mean, everything is me, with a little help. So it gets tough. So I like the space that I occupy right now. I'm not looking at competing. I'm not looking at what people are doing. I really love what I'm doing. And I think everybody has that personal journey. Like some people know
absolutely.
from the beginning that I want to be on the shelf, and it's great because it's their vision. And when you feel passionate about something, you will make it happen, But my thing is, like, I would love to be maybe in cafes around the city. I would love to be used, like, because apart from milk, I also make feta cheese, which is extremely popular now. And
I've heard about it.
Yes. So, and I'm so proud of that, because I mean, it just came out of nowhere. It came out of the need for me to have salad, honestly, and with feta cheese on it. And for a cafe or for a small little restaurant or whatever, to say that we would love to use your feta cheese because it tastes better than even the dairy feta on our salads or something. I like that space. I'm excited about that. Those kind of collaborations I like. It has to gel with me and what I feel for my product. It can't be, my journey can't be what the world wants. Sometimes it has to be very personal too.
Yes.
And I think
yes.
if you go that way, I think you will find your space wherever it is. It doesn't have to be a very large space. I mean, I never thought about it that I have to occupy this space in the market, because there are so many beautiful, amazing people doing so many things. So I think everybody has their corner. Everybody has their space. And I think all of us are complementing each other, egging each other on that, continue doing the work that you're doing to make, make our country, or make people aware that they can stop dairy, that they can take care of their health without, by stopping this dairy and trying to focus on what they put into their body. So being artisanal is something I love right now, and I'm kind of enjoying that little thing. Let's see how that goes.
Wonderful. That's wonderful. So Anushri and Abhay, in another 5 years, can I see your product like in Europe or in US? Do you all have international plans, or you guys all have just started? Abhay, in fact, was the first Indian to be featured in Forbes 30 under 30. I mean, I remember that was such a, all vegans felt so proud about that. But yeah, you guys have just started out, right? I mean, there's like the whole life ahead. So do you all plan international markets in the future?
Want to go first, Anushri?
Yeah, sure. I don't have a very long answer, but that I think I would like to be a little flexible over the next few years and see what the market tells me. But definitely, I think, as Abhay mentioned, in the Middle East and certain Asian countries, there's a lot of potential to make people's lives easier.
Yeah.
And it'll, of course, require a lot of work from our end to get the appropriate compliances and things in place. But I mean, definitely, it would be a proud moment to see it on the shelves somewhere outside India.
Yeah, yeah.
Great. I mean, as far as the prediction goes, I'd be very wrong. I think if you asked me 5 years ago, where would be this, in 2020, and had I not predicted a pandemic, I'd be very wrong. So I don't know where we'd be 5 years from now. I think the goal is to get to be as large a company as we can be, and use that leverage that comes with being just large to add, to add more value to our movement. And I think definitely, like Anush said, it would be wonderful to see Good Milk outside of India. But what I'm also trying to be very cognizant about is that there's 1.3 billion people in India.
Yeah.
And I would have done a poor job if we didn't do justice to us being here.
Yes.
And sure, global markets tend to be lucrative. I think, especially perhaps in countries where people are able to spend more on plant-based dairy, I think the margins are higher. There may be more of a brand recall. But there's something about the hard challenge of building a business in India that is and a plant-based dairy one that does the dirty hard work that is needed to scale to a level where we're recognized amongst one of the big dairy brands here, right? And to me, that story is very compelling. So of course, I'm sure at some point we'll get there. But today I'm fascinated by the India story. What can we do here, and how big can we get here? And
Yes.
that's what we're focusing on.
Actually, I agree. In fact, India itself is such a huge market, right? And I should have rephrased it and asked, in 5 years' time, can I see each of your product in every household? Literally,
Yes.
like if they have dairy at home, they should also be having a non-dairy substitute.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
if somebody is having milk at home, they should also be having either
Yes.
almond milk or good milk or
Yes.
milk or that should actually be the target. The next 5 years, that anybody you meet says, oh, you know what, I don't consume milk, I consume the plant-based milk or a plant-based cheese. Yeah, so that's great. So what would be a message you would want to give young mothers actually? I'm a mother myself. I am not a young mother, though I've got two grown-up children. But what would be the message you would want to give young mothers? Like, as a mother, I always tell parents of my children's friends that the worst thing you're doing is giving dairy to your children. At least, please stop giving that.
Yes.
The other things later, but stop giving that. What is the message that you all would want to give?
May I?
Yes.
I love this question. That's why, as I don't talk too much, I'm like, extremely introverted. But when I started Break of Dawn, and then my first baby client, my first baby client was 10 months old. And I remember the person who asked me, and she was like, she was weaning off her baby off breast milk, and had heard about me and said that, what do you think? And can I give this to my baby? And what do you think? And etc. etc. And I was, first of all, I was just amazed that, wow, that people are thinking like that already. Like it is not something we thought. Like when I had my kids, I didn't. We didn't even have that thought ever,
Yeah.
So the fact that someone is thinking that I don't want to introduce dairy at all, like don't corrupt the baby's system at all, and of course the baby took to it like, crazy. I mean, she loved it. And, I said, please check with your doctors if you need, how much, whatever, but it's going to be the greatest thing you'll ever do, And after that, I've got babies who are again 9 months old. And whenever they're weaning off their baby, the ones who are aware about it, they're always asking. And because it is a milk which is made fresh, the one thing that, as a new mother, you may not want to give a Tetra Pak milk, which is kept on the shelf. You may think a little, okay, should I not? But when you tell them that I'm making it at 3 and you're getting it at 5, in your house, or 6, it's as fresh as it can get. And that is going to be great for your baby, and you can do it. So I have got like a whole range of babies, parents now, not only babies, but even pregnant women, they completely stop dairy. They have been told to go off dairy, and because they don't want to again, they just don't want dairy in their system, and with the kind of allergies and with the kind of issues that milk is giving today, you know people just don't want that in their body. So it is such an important and such a revelation that people are getting aware, and people are moving their 10-month-olds and 11-month-olds to almond milk, or to any form of plant-based milk, so that they don't have to corrupt their bodies with dairy at all. I mean,
Right.
so it's and I think everyone should do it. And I think that awareness should come in from when you are even thinking of having a child. How do you want to do? It's not after you give birth. It has to be before. What you eat and what are you going to give your baby, so
Right.
that awareness, I think, I mean, I talk to everybody about it, anybody and everybody, that that you can do this, and it's going to taste good. Trust me, the thing is that it's going to taste good. The baby is going to take to it. You can try it first, then you give it to your baby in whatever form, but just don't give milk.
Yeah, yeah.
So
And Dilip, sorry. Yeah, and Dilip, you actually saw what goes into the dairy industry. So what would your message be?
Basically, what happens is that when you harp upon cruelty, giving cruelty message to everybody, uh,
Yeah.
like I have repeatedly said, that everybody empathizes. They look into my eye and they say, "Oh my God, oh shit, is it? Oh yeah." But even that, which makes you feel that it will make them change when they go
change.
home. They will do something different. I
Hmm.
say they don't. Most of them don't.
True.
I have seen this in my own family. I mean, I'm not trying to criminalize
Yes.
somebody, but
Hmm.
when I came back and told my parents, my son was very sensitive enough to understand. And when my product wasn't even like dairy, we started consuming it. But if my, old father, aged mother, they want their tea at their time, and they want, kheer to be made
Yeah.
at the ceremony. So they would empathize. But then there's nothing more like in action. Okay. So what I feel is that you have to, for me, the health aspect has worked better. When you
Yes.
tell people that it is not
It is.
healthy, that
Yes.
works better than telling them that
Absolutely.
cows are suffering because of your that
Yeah, yeah,
transportation.
yeah.
But
Agreed.
I would say that okay, you keep that feeling in your mind that if
Yeah.
someone is changing from dairy milk to almond milk, my cow is getting safe. But don't preach that to people,
I
because
agree.
that's
Mm.
not making people change. That
Especially to a mother.
yes, they are making people bored. They are making
Yeah.
people, you sound like a cliched, you know. This is what I'm having experience. But now what is happening with so much of information and good information everywhere. And like in my building, for example, where I stay, I mean, we had thought that, I mean, we have not advertised our products, we have just gone on vegan plant-based WhatsApp groups, and that has multiplied everywhere. So we never thought that there would be somebody in our own building, because we look at everybody's face, and then when you know people, you somehow try to make an impression that, oh no, that person I don't think so, this person I don't think so. And talking to them is like, I don't like to advertise my own product.
Yeah.
So what happened was, we keep in a neighborhood store, so somebody went and purchased it, and below that it's the address which is given. So they said, hey, this is Kajal, your thing, you are working here, whatever. And then we realized that there are at least 17 families who are eating plant-based, drinking plant-based milk and whatever. But when you converse with them, it is not for a cow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm.
It is for
Mm.
health. I'm still to come across, yes, I meet a lot of activists, okay, who say that I am making a cow not suffer. But I have not met general people who would say
Yeah.
that I am not drinking because a cow is getting raped over there.
Mm.
So,
Mm.
that's how we need to change the scenario, even in propagating this whole idea,
Yes.
or even broadcasting this idea. Health, we are not lying. Okay, we are not lying. So let us
Yes.
hold on to the health, which is invariably helping the other part of our ethic, that it is going to, at the end of the day, save a cow. But health is a prime focus, where Indian fraternity or Indian population is going to change to another
Mm.
dairy,
Mm.
not a cow. Yeah.
Right. So Anushri and Abhay, have you all heard positive stories from mothers who have switched to your products?
Abhay, do you want to go?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, we do hear from our customers that their kids love our curd, etc. I think specifically we're not targeting anybody per se in terms of our marketing. I think in general, we'd love it if entire families are vegan and their kids consume our product as well. I think some of our products are more geared towards kids consuming it, like chocolate milk, etc. But more of that that personal journey that consumers have with us, and they sometimes do share on their social media. But I think I'm personally not as focused on those personal journeys. It's more about, for me, making sure that everything is working, nothing is on fire, etc.
Right.
In our early days, we got a lot of one-on-one FaceTime with our consumers, and today I think there's a team that does more of that interaction. I'm personally not as involved, so maybe lately I haven't heard as many personal messages coming my way. But yeah, I mean, it's been an interesting part of our journey that it has happened from our earlier days.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I hear this a lot from, friends of friends who are young mothers and who say the doctor has said that my kid shouldn't have dairy. I hear that a lot. I myself quit dairy for my health. And I hear a lot of other women saying, whether it's PCOD or some health issues, so they've been told to cut out dairy. So I think people are thinking, along those lines. And I guess for young mothers, as long as you educate yourself and your child on where your food is coming from, as long as you know and you're aware, then it's up to you to decide what you want to do, and for your child to eventually decide what they do with that knowledge.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I agree. So, yeah, I would like to end, and I just want to, highlight to the audience again that here we have 4 super successful people who are passionate, but also out on a mission, and who's just getting successful on that. Like none of y'all have got formal training or business training, but still like managing to grow your products. And so I think there's a lot of hope for homegrown businesses. I hope they take inspiration from you guys and continue doing what they're doing. And kudos to what you guys are doing. What a big difference you all are making. Thank you so much for taking your time and being here. Yeah? It was such a pleasure chatting with you all.
Thank you, Ruchika.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ruchika. Thanks for having us all.
Thank you so much.
Beautiful talking to everyone.